So hi, welcome to these videos which will hopefully help you get yourself set up with your trial copy or evaluation of classroom.cloud. Through the course of these videos we'll run through all the various setup things that you'll need to get you up and running, but the first thing we're going to do is show you how to get signed up, and there are two main ways of going in and getting signed up. One of those ways is using Microsoft and the other way is using Google. So the first thing we're going to do is go to sign up, and you might think from this screen here the first thing you'll do is start filling in all those details. Don't do that. We're going to be showing you first of all how to get yourself signed up using Microsoft Tenancy. Before we do that though, just a key thing to note, if you're a teacher thinking, Classroom Cloud would be really good for me in my classroom, or I'm a head of computing, it'd be really good for my department to be able to see all these devices and what have you in our classrooms or on our devices across the school. I'm going to get yourself set up to have a little look around. Great, go for it. But if you're going to use this method, you do need to have admin rights on your Microsoft 365 tenancy. If you haven't got that on your login, then please do go and see your network manager who can either furnish you with those admin rights or work with you to get things set up. If you try and do it by yourself without those sort of admin rights, things won't work for you. So just bear that in mind when you're going in and getting yourself set up. But we do have those admin rights, so we're going to crack on and click on to continue with Microsoft. So we're going to go into here, and as you'll normally find, you get your Microsoft sign in. So we'll just pop in our little email address here, and we'll hit next, and we'll just quickly type in our password. And once we've got that typed in, we'll just hit sign in. We won't save that right now. And Bob just try to choose say signed in for this one here now. And now it's a case of just going and filling in a few little details. So you'll put in your title. It's pulled through some information already for me from my details here. So I'm just going to pop in my surname very quickly. Pop in my organisation. That'll be whatever your school is. So we'll call ourselves the NetSupport Academy, something like that. Pop in our postcode. It's picked up our location already. Just pop in our postcode like so. You want to change your job title, could be network manager, could be whatever is relevant to you in the role that you've got. It's already pulled through your email address, and make the choice about whether you want to be informed on products, offers and updates. And as always, due diligence, please do check out our terms and services and privacy statements. I'm sure you'll be happy with those, but please do check them out, as I'm sure you will. And if you are happy with those, then just go down to where it says register and click on the register button. That will then send a verification email over to you on your Outlook. So get yourself over to office.com and get yourself logged in, or look in Outlook if you've got Outlook open on your device. So we'll just log ourselves into office.com and get ourselves signed in, and we'll jump through these steps. So now that we're in Outlook, you'll see that you've received an email asking you to verify your email address. So it's simply a case of going to where it says click here, but just below that you'll see it says about some help and what have you. Our support at NetSupport is award-winning, so please do reach out to us via the options on our website or through our numerous support guides, and hopefully this video though will be enough to get you up and running. So we've clicked on that verification, and then we just need to get ourselves signed in. Now you might again think, I need to fill in my email address and password. No, you don't. You're already signed in with Microsoft. So let's go down to sign in with Microsoft, and through SSO you'll see that you're already logged in, and there you are, you're good to go at the start here in classroom.cloud. So hi, welcome to this second video where we're going to explore how you can sign up for classroom.cloud if you're a school using Google Workspace for Education. Now, I'm assuming you won't have watched the first video because that one shows you how to get yourself set up using Microsoft's 365 tenancy. So I'll repeat some of the messages that I shared in that video for this one, because some of the rules apply here as they do with that one. Obviously, one of the first things you'll do is go to classroom.cloud, and then you'll see the sign up button just above where the mouse is right now. So you'll click onto there, and once you've clicked onto there, you'll then see a page where you have to fill in some credentials. Don't fill those credentials in. What you would do is go to the bottom where it says continue with Google. But before you do that, the advice to share is you do need to have admin rights to get yourself set up with classroom.cloud. So if you're a teacher, a head of computing, for example, and you're thinking, classroom.cloud seems brilliant for our setup in school. Well, it is. But in order for you to get yourself set up, you do need admin rights on your Google Workspace for Education setup. So if you haven't got those admin rights, please do speak with your network manager manager or administrator or whoever has got those admin rights, and either see if you can get those furnished to yourself or work with them to get yourself set up. But let's say you're in a position where you do have admin rights. What you would do at this point is simply click on where it says continue with Google, and as always you'll just fill in your Google credentials. So pop your email address, as you've seen us do there, pop your password in, and then hit next, and that'll then take you through to a screen where you're asked if you can put your password in correctly. That will then take you through to a page where you need to give some permissions to for your Google account, and you'll see these things around Google Classroom, so you can view the email addresses of people in your classes, your class rosters, so forth and so on. If you're happy with all of that, and please do check out the various privacy policies and terms of service there at the bottom. But if you're happy with all of those things, then just click onto allow. And once you've done that, it's then just a case of simply filling in some of your details. So pop your school name in. We'll just call ours NetSupport Academy, for example. You might want to change your title. It defaults as Doctor, that's the first one in the alphabetical list. Put your postcode in and your job title. And then before you click on register, you may want to be kept abreast of our latest product offers and updates and things like that. So tick the box if you want that. If you don't want that, leave it empty, obviously. And another opportunity for you to check out our terms of service and privacy statements if you would like to. But if you're happy with all of that, then simply go to register, click onto there. And what that will do is it will fire you a verification email over. So at that point, all you need to do is simply go to your emails and verify your email address. So we'll just nip over to Gmail and check that out. And in the email, you'll see two hyperlinks there. The first one is the one for verifying. But before we do that, I just want to point out one of the things that our customers tell us they love about NetSupport is the fantastic support that we provide to our customers and clients. In fact, we've won many awards for our technical support. So by all means, get in touch with us via the website. There's a little chat feature there. There's loads of guides and helps there. You'll see some more help opportunities in a moment once we get signed up. But if you wanted to click on that link, you can go through to some more guides and support manuals and all those sort of things. But let's say you're really happy at this point, you're good to go. Simply click on where it says, please click here to confirm your email address. Click on there. That'll open up a new tab, pop you into classroom.cloud. It'll confirm your account is ready. You're taken through to the sign in page. Remember, we don't need to sign in now, it's SSO. So simply click on sign in with Google and you are in. And as I mentioned, there's some more resources there to help you get started as well there on the main dashboard. In this short video, we're going to explore how you can get things set up for your organisation and your sites. We've got a bunch of options down the left-hand side, and we'll dig into some more of these in more detail later on. Let's just jump into organisation for a second, just so you can see where all your various options are within here. You know, your license and your users and your devices and all that sort of thing is set up in here. If we could jump into settings for a second, you'll see there's some settings inside here that we'll dive into more deeply in subsequent videos, things around privacy, for example, and device groups and classes and so forth and so on. But right now we're going to jump into the sites section, because one of the first things you want to do is make sure you've got your site set up. Now, when you signed up, you popped in your school name, which we called NetSupport Academy. But let's just say actually it's a trust. So if you want to change that name there, simply go onto the edit icon. We just click on there and just simply change the name to NetSupport Trust. There we go. Update. Now you could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plenty of schools inside your trust. Adding a new school to your trust is super easy. Just simply go to where it says add site, click onto there, pop in the name of your school. So let's just call this one something like Cloud School. Hit add, and it's as simple as that to add an extra school into your setup. And that is how you get your site set up within your school. Now, just before we wrap up this video, I will just say each site has its own setup. So to get into any of those sort of configuration options, you'd simply go into this bit here and you'll see the various actions and things related to that particular site here. But you can do that on a global level, and we'll explore that in a later video in just a few moments. So hi, welcome to this video, and in this one we're going to explore how you can install classroom.cloud students onto student devices within your school. As you'll remember from the previous video, to get to your schools, simply go to your sites on the left hand side. You can see the NetSupport Trust and the Cloud School there, and if you click onto the drop down next to the school you want to do the installations for, it's important to remember that you need to download the files for installation from within each of the sections. So if I go to NetSupport Trust, for example, first you'll see there's installers on the drop down list there, but equally if I go onto the Cloud School below, we'll see I've got installers there as well. So let's click onto installers here for Cloud School, and you can see here we've got our installers for all of our different supported areas: Chrome, Android, macOS, iOS, so forth and so on. And we're doing a Windows student install though, and just run through the different installation options that are here. So the first two installation files, we've got the MSI, and that's the one you'd use for installations, automated deployment, sort of through things such as GPO, SCCM, or Intune. We're going to go for a manual download with the Nexi. Before we do that though, just pop so you can see the information there. You've got the zip file there you can use for your ADMX templates if you want to work in that sort of a way using different scenarios via group policy. So there's your options in there as well. If you want support with the installation beyond what we're sharing with this video here, you'll notice just above as well we've got some installation guides for manual installation and installing by Intune. Just above that, though, I want to just point out some information there around site configuration. We're going to be doing the XE installation, which is the manual install. When you download the file, and we've actually downloaded our file already, so we just pop open our downloads folder a second. What you'll notice in here, on that file name, is quite a long file name. If you're like me, you'll probably feel compelled to sort of click on there, press F2, and just delete out all that extraneous information down the end. But it isn't extraneous information. Can you see some correlation between the file name there and the site config information on the left-hand side? I'm sure you can, because the site ID is 2. We can see that in the file name. You can see the account ID just next to it. And at the end, you can see UK South. When you're installing the file, it's important that that information is still there, because part of the configuration process while it's installing will look at that information and sort of tie that into your config for that student device. If you don't have that information there, then you'll have trouble. You run into problems trying to connect to those student devices using classroom.cloud. You might also ask the question, as a cloud-based tool, why do we need to be installing things onto a device? Well, for security reasons, it's really important to make sure we have that in place there. We couldn't make it work for you in the ways that we do if we didn't. This isn't about collecting in and gathering in student data. No student data resides inside classroom.cloud, but just wanted to make that really, really clear. Make sure you leave the file name there. You need to install this to make classroom.cloud work on your different devices across your network. So let's get cracking. Let's just double click on this file. We've already downloaded it to save some time. We've gone to the download.exe and downloaded that. And it's asking you, first of all, if you wanted to allow the tool to make changes to your device. But of course you do, because you're installing some software. That's going to extract the file as so. Install Shield Wizard is open. Just click yourself through the various options that are here. It'll copy the new files over, so forth and so on. We get another little confirmation window in just a second. Hit finish. There we go. And once that's done, as you can see hovering in the bottom right hand corner, you can now see the classroom.cloud is installed in your system tray in the bottom right hand corner. So that is how you install your classroom.cloud student setup on your devices in a Windows environment. So in this video, we're going to look at how we can get classroom.cloud working on your Chromebooks in a Google for Workspace environment. You'll recognize the view that we can see here, although you might not have some of these things installed yourself already. But to get this working for you in your instance, the first thing to do would be to go to the Chrome store, download the classroom.cloud student app. Do that, and that'll bring you through into here. And you'll see we've got it highlighted already down the bottom. It defaults to allow install. Our recommendation would be to actually change that to force install and pin to browser toolbar. That will keep the options for your students sort of front and center in their extension area. In there you'll be able to then, or the students will be able to then easily access things such as the learning outcomes, the teacher name, the list of approved websites, so forth and so on. Super easy through that. The final thing thing to do though is to get the JSON value put across into here. So to do that, the first thing you want to do is just simply navigate to classroom.cloud. So we're there on the page already. If you want to know how to get there, it is simply a case of going to the relevant school, then go into installers, and then you'll see the Chrome option there on the left hand side where we're hovering now. And then simply just go to where it says copy, and that will then just copy the JSON value. That copies to your clipboard, then pop back into your admin console, go to the JSON section on the right hand side, click into there, and then just paste it into there like so, and then hit your save button, and that is how you would then deploy that out to the Chromebooks across your school environment. So in this video, we're going to look at how we can make our devices sort of be assigned to a group so it can be all working and can be seen in various classes and so forth and so on. Before we do that though, a little shout out to the icon you can see there in the bottom right hand corner for classroom.cloud. Now you can see the color, if I just move off a second, you can see the color is grey. Now, the icon that's down there will be different colours based upon a variety of different settings. Now, if it's grey, it can mean one or two things. It can mean that either the device is not connected, okay, the problem with the connection, or it's unlicensed. So if you then go back and hover over the top of the icon, you'll actually see, and in this case it's saying it's unlicensed. I thought it useful at this point to explain what the other colours are and what they mean as well. So if it's blue, then that means everything's working. If it's green, that icon, then it means the device is inside the class. If it's orange, it means everything's working, but it's blocking connections in an active way. And that can be for a variety of reasons. It could be because of a certain time of day or a date, that sort of thing. So one of the things you can do inside your settings is set up privacy settings. So you can make classroom.cloud only work during certain times of the day. So let's say during sort of lesson times between sort of 9 in the morning and 3:30 in the afternoon. Okay, you can do it by dates, so not by over half terms or by not on bank holidays, those sort of things too. So if you have those privacy settings set up and it's orange, it's likely that it's privacy for one of those reasons, blocking it from actually working. But we need to turn it from being grey into being blue. So we need to get in and start assigning things, devices into groups. So the way that we do that is to move our mouse over to the side over here, and we're going to go into our school. And you can see already we've got a little notification there, one unassigned device. So if we just go on to unassigned devices and go into here, we can see we've got this one unassigned device, and it's the one we're actually sat on right now, working on right now. Now, before we get into all of this, okay, you may want to have classroom.cloud installed on teacher devices and on student devices. Okay, so it's important to know that you can make it so that teacher devices aren't actually monitored, can be added to classes, all these sorts of things. So what we would do with that is we'll simply go over to the side again over here, and we're going to go to device groups, and we need to actually create a device group before we do anything anyway, because we can't assign a device to a device group without any device groups. So within device groups, go to where it says add device group, and you give it a name. We've got some saved from previous instances, so we can just go in here and just go on to that and type students, and you can see the little tick box underneath. Now, that's the tick box you would choose if you didn't want this device group to be added to any sort of classes. Okay, obviously students, we do want those to be added to classes, so we'll leave that unticked, and we'll go to add. And then if you wanted to go into add device group again, and we'll just put some teachers ones in there again. We can pick it from the list. There we go. And we don't want the teachers' devices to be added to a group. So just click onto the little arrow there, and then we'll go on to add, and we'll add that group in there as well. Well, we'll look into that in more detail and how that works in a later video. But now we've got that set up, we're now ready to assign this particular device to the students group. So go to unassigned devices, and then we simply tick onto the device, and then we simply go to assign a device, using a little share icon there, and we then choose the group that we want it to be assigned to. Simply click onto yes, and you'll now notice down in the bottom right hand corner that icon has changed to blue, which means that now this device is available, it's all connected, it's all working, and this device is now in an assigned group. So we go to devices, we'll now see this device is in there. You can see the device group is linked to it, says it's available. It's got some other information in there as well about the model of the machine and Windows. You can see the Windows icon there under device type, and the monitor icon there represents it as a PC, so forth and so on. So that is how you assign a device to a device group using classroom.cloud. Just to add, you'll notice up in the top right-hand corner, you've got the bulk assigned devices option. Simply, when you've got all your devices installed, rather than going through on a granular level and doing it one by one, which will take you quite a long time, simply tick the box so that it selects all of the devices that you want to assign to a particular group. Go to bulk assigned devices, then choose the list, the group you want to attach it to, hit the OK button, and that will then assign all of those to all those devices to that particular device group. So we're approaching the end of these training videos, but one of the things you'll want to be thinking about is things around privacy. So to do your privacy settings, you can go to a variety of places, and not to do the same thing in a repeated kind of way, but it depends on how you want things set up within your classroom.cloud setup in order for your privacy settings to work. But let's just jump into for a second at the organizational level privacy settings. Simply go to organization, then settings, and then into privacy. And there are three sort of key areas here where we can configure privacy settings, and I'll just run through each of them and give use case scenarios for each. So the first one, hopefully, is kind of obvious. It's about when your school day is and when you'd actually like your devices to have access to classroom.cloud for monitoring, tracking, lesson activities, all those sort of things. The next one across, as you can see on the little tabbed sections there, is for term dates. Okay, so you don't put the dates when the holidays are and your bank holidays and those sort of things. You do your start and end dates for each of your different half terms. So you put in the 1st September through till mid-October, sort of towards the end of October through till Christmas, so forth and so on. Hit add date, and it'll populate that list through. The final one is networks, and you get options for IP addresses and for wireless networks, and there's use case scenarios for each of those really. Your IP addresses, Google Workspace Chromebooks, it won't allow you to put SSIDs in for your network, so you'll need to use your IP addresses for your students in the IP addresses section there, and for your Mac or Windows environments, you can put your SSIDs down the bottom there. So those are the three sort of areas where you put the settings in, and obviously with each of those, when you've put in whatever it is that you want to put in, you simply just click on the update option in the bottom right hand corner there, and that'll set that out there for you. But if you put your settings in here, but you're a multi-academy trust or you've got multiple schools you're managing, then the settings you put in here will then apply to all of the different sites within your classroom.cloud setup. You want to do things on a more granular level, and it may well be there are certain things. Let's say your term dates are fixed, so you could at an organization level have your term dates set there, but to get more granular and set things up individually for each of your different sites, then simply go to your sites area on the left hand side just here, and then choose the site you want to actually do some work on. So let's just choose Cloud School for a second, jump into the settings area and just click onto there, and then you'll see the option for privacy. Now before we click into there, can you notice a little icon in the top right hand corner, and you can see it actually for user profiles, general, device groups, classes, so forth and so on. Those things that appear there, when that icon's there, it means that it's pulling down settings at an organizational level. So if you've got that there, just bear that in mind, you'll have some organizational settings in there already. But if you go into privacy, it's the same setup as before, so you can now at a granular level make those settings bespoke for your individual site. So again, school hours, you've got the options there, so turn the times off, the days off that you don't want, so weekends for example. We choose these different options because there are places in the world, let's remember, that have different days for the weekend, so important to have that option in there for cultural reasons. Then across in the term date, same sort of thing in there. Put in your start and end dates for each of your terms. So just choose the date, choose your end date for the end of the summer term. Let's call it the 29th of July. It's a long academic year if you've got that. And then go into your networks, and within this section here, you can then just, as you saw before, put in your IP addresses. UK scenario, remember, that is for your Google environments, SSID for your Windows and Mac environments. If you wanted to at any time sort of actually pull through your organizational settings, you'll notice there's an option in the top right hand corner and it says use your organization settings. You can click onto that and it'll pull that through into there if you want to, and that could actually speed up some of the processes if you want to put additional things in there to add those things through into your site settings as well. And that is how you set up the various privacy options inside classroom.cloud. We're now going to explore looking at how we can set users up inside classroom.cloud. Now, you'll start at an organizational level, and certainly if you're a single school, that's where you'll do all of this sort of thing. But when you go in and start to set up your users, use cases, you may well be the network admin for the entirety of your multi-academy trust, but you don't want to be the person putting in all the users for all the different schools. And why would you? You've got colleagues who are probably running things within those different sites with you as part of your IT services team. So what you can do is, if you go into the organization area just here on the left hand side, go into all users, and it is a case of inviting users. Now, if you want to speed the process up a little bit, you can go to import users and import a CSV. To get a sample CSV, to get the template for that, simply go to download sample CSV. You get a file and you can then populate that, so you can then bulk import on that sort of front. But we're just going to have a little go at inviting a user. So into invite user, and then we pop in the email address. So it should be quite quick to do that, like so. Then choose the login provider underneath. So we're currently logged in using a Google tenancy, so we'll use Google. Obviously, if you're one of the others, then choose those, and then choose the role. So let's say that this guy Matt is the network admin who's going to be in charge of adding users and doing other sort of management stuff at classroom.cloud in the cloud school. Simply go to the select site option and choose the option cloud school. And this is really important because, as the admin as well, yourself, you don't want all of your users to see absolutely everything. It may well be that you want people to see absolutely everything, and if you do, then you would tick both of the boxes or all the boxes for the sites which apply to them. Okay, so getting this set up correct in the first instance is super important. You can have multiples, so you could tick organization admin and safeguarding user and teacher, whichever is sort of relevant to that particular user. So tick the right boxes, and when you're happy with what you've chosen, simply go to invite. And just like you did when you set up classroom.cloud, they'll receive an email asking them to click on authenticate, so forth and so on, and that will then get them in to the classroom.cloud setup. Now you can see the column that says status. You can see my account currently says active. The ones we've already sent out to Dave and Matt haven't been opened yet, haven't been approved and accepted, those sort of things. So you can see that you've invited them, but nothing's actually happened. You can see under the role heading there, you've got user and technician, admin technician, so forth and so on. You've also got other information like last log on and all of that. Now let's say Matt comes back and says, but sorry mate, I've not had the email. Well, don't worry, we've got you covered. If you go over to the little icon we're hovering over now, that will allow you to resend the invite email. Let's say though that Matt gets a promotion. You want to sort of change Matt's role in the access that he has as well. Next to the resend email option, you've got the edit option there, and if you go into there, you can see that you can then apply different settings for that particular user. You can also use this area to disable user accounts and all of that as well. When you're done with all of that and you made the changes, simply click on update. We're not going to, because we're not actually making any changes, we're just demonstrating things there like so. So that's how you set things up on an organizational level. If we just jump down into the site section now very quickly, you can see if you go into a particular site, let's go into Cloud School or NetSupport Trust, whichever you want to, it doesn't really matter. And you'll see that you've got users there as well. So that's how you can then, if you go to users, set things up for that particular site for things within that particular school that you have there. And here, simply go to invite user, same sort of process. One thing to note in the email section at the top, you can add up to 10 email addresses at any given time. Just separate those out with commas, and that'll drop all those things in. And yeah, nice, quick and easy way of adding those things in. You can bulk select those. And when you're done, same thing as before, simply hit onto invite, and that will then invite those users to that particular site here in classroom.cloud. So that is how you add users onto classroom.cloud. So in this video, we're going to explore how to set up your classes with inside classroom.cloud. Now, the best way to do this is to go into your My Classes section over here on the left-hand side, and then simply choose the school that you want to add your classes into. Go into the school, and then simply go to the option Add Class. There are 4 connection types for adding a class. You can choose from device group, class code, student list, or device list. Let's work through those from top to bottom. So simply go to device group. If it's the device group option, you type in the class name that you want. Let's call it 10EN1. You can give it a description if you want to. English class. Then go to your device group and choose your device group, which should be the one we got in here already included, called students. And then obviously with the class code like EN and description of English class, we're clearly going to be an English class. So scroll through your list until you get to your subject, click on English, and then simply hit add. So that's one class made, and you'll see the icon there representing the English class. Let's have a look at the other options that are available to us. Go to add class. This time we're going to look at the option for class code. This is a great way in which where we can actually use a code to bring students in. So if you're using the Windows devices, then in your system tray, students can click in there and there's an option that you can actually use to enter your class code. Alternatively, in your admin, can set it up so that you can turn on the option to have the join class option added to your desktop. Let's quickly jump out of here a second and just hit cancel. Let's just jump through to where you do that bit for showing that on your dashboard. So simply go through into organization and into your settings, go into your device groups option just here, and then you've got the display student desktop shortcut, the join class option just here. This is something that only works in Windows, by the way. That's where you turn that on there. Let's just jump back into my classes again. So we're going to do the join class by code again. Just a little thing to remember as well with this one, if you're using Chromebook, using classroom.cloud in Chrome, then click on the extension icon that's been hopefully forced up there, so it's always visible to your students. And there's an option in there again for students to click on there and join the class by typing in the class code. So you give it a class name again, so click into there, and we can call this maybe 11EN1. And description would be something like English class again. We won't put that in for now. And then just simply go through and choose the subject, which in this case again is obviously English. Hit add, and that will now add the class with the class code. And for ease of reference, you can see the class code is always displayed there just in the top corner like so. Let's have a look at the other options that are available to us. So let's add another class now. Let's go in here, and this time the connection type we're going to choose is student list. Now this is a scenario where you don't have things like a school data sync working, for example. It might be not have that available to you. So let's put in a little class here. We'll call this 7ART for an art class. It contains how many students you want it to contain. If you go to edit on the side over here, we can then pop in the student emails for those students who want to join that particular class. So this is a way of doing a sort of manual addition of students if you don't have a tool available to you like Student Data Sync. And having all that sort of set up for you. So pop all those in there. Remember to separate them with a comma, hit add, and that'll then ping those students an invite to come across and join your class. Let's just cancel that and cancel again, because we're not going to actually have one of those there, are we? And the final option is to add a class via a device list. So a bit like the student list, we go through onto here, we'd pop in a class name. Let's call this one 7ART again. We won't pop a description in, but if we go to devices, click onto the edit option just here, all the devices that you've added in will be listed there, and you can choose those devices just by ticking them on the right hand side, and then choose the arrow, and that will then pop those devices in there, and that will be the devices for that particular class. Particularly useful, for example, if you're working in a sort of computer suite kind of environment. Click add to add those all in, and then hit add once you've chosen your subject. I chose art here because it's top of the list, makes it nice and easy. Hit add, and then you've got your class set up like so there. And what you'll notice there as well, based upon the choice you've made for your subject, the icons are different to represent each of the different classes that you may well teach. There you go. That's how you add classes in classroom.cloud. So as we wrap up this series of videos to help you with your evaluation, we really do hope that you like using classroom.cloud. There are so many different features available in here. Please do check out our other videos on things around our inventory and safeguarding. The contextual keyword tracking and monitoring in here is a really useful tool. And as a former classroom teacher myself as well, having a tool such as classroom.cloud in the classroom really does support those positive behaviors for learning and reinforcing metacognition with your learners. So really great tool. But listen, we want to make sure that you feel like you're completely supported through this process. So not only are these videos that we've got here available to you when you're logged in, as you've seen at the start of almost all of these videos, you'll notice we've got the area for these resources here on the dashboard here. We've got things for your safeguarding admins, for your sort of updates, your getting started guide for teachers, admin users, so forth and so on. The whole lot is available to you here. And if you need to get in touch, you can obviously do so via the contact option over here on the left hand side. You can also go to the main site, and in the bottom right hand corner here here, we've got a talk feature where you can click in here and start talking to a real person, not a chatbot. So you can start talking to that person straight away and get some support directly from our award-winning tech support.